I'm going to go to Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to go Command N or Control N if I'm on a PC. I'll just click Print Preset right here. And right here, there's points. You don't want to keep that. And so if you don't know what a point is, you do, you just don't know how big it is. But when you're typing a report, you know that it, like if you're in Word and you do forever, the default font was like Times New Roman 12 point for a report. So how big's 12 points? Think about how big a 12 point Times New Roman letter is. Not that big. And so I'll tell you exactly how big a point is. A point is 1/72 of an inch. And so it takes 72 points to make 1 inch. And so if you type 11 points by 11 points, what's that going to make? Well, it's going to make times that by 7. That'll be 77 points. So that'll be just barely over an inch. So that's going to be about 1/7 of an inch. So that's not going to work. So you need to change this to inches. That's imperative. You got to do that. And so change that to inches, and then they make that 11 inch by 11 inch. And that's all you need to do. One artboard. If you're going to do more than one design, you could tell it to have 2 artboards. But I'm just going to do one artboard for now. And I don't have to worry about any other settings. And then I'll click create. And there's an 11 inch by 11 inch artboard. I'm going to go back to my instructions. One artboard, unless you're doing more than one design. Okay, I'm going to do more than one design. No. 11 inch by 11 inch. I'll say I want 2 artboards. There's 2 artboards. Now I had 2 fantastic designs. I couldn't decide which one I wanted. I wanted to do both. I'm a go-getter. I think I can get them both done. I'll do both of them. Or just one. Okay. Next step. I'm going to use the rectangular grid tool to create a 10 inch by 10 inch 100 square grid. And note this tool may be hidden from your toolbar. And this tells you how to get that tool. And so here's telling you how to do it. I'm in the workspace. I'm going to go up top to Window, Workspace, and I'm in Essentials Classic. You will be in Essentials by default, and you may not see the rectangular grid tool. I see it. There's not a quick key for it, but I see it just because I have it open. If you don't see it open on the toolbar, which is on the left side, there's these ellipses, these 3 dots on the lower left-hand corner. You click it, and that shows all of the tools. And you can, if it's grayed out, that means it's already in the toolbar. And you could drag, if it's not grayed out, that means it's not in the toolbar. You could click it and drag it to the toolbar. It's already out there. So you can, once you drag it to the toolbar, then you click the ellipses again to close that. Or you could just go to Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic. And that's the workspace I like to work in because it was the workspace for like 30 years. And just recently, last few years, they changed to Essentials. And why did they change to Essentials? Because people were working on laptops. And I'm on a laptop right now. I like laptops, but I also like large screens and I like multiple screens. But because people have smaller screens, Adobe wanted to economize the workspace a little bit more. And so, and then the Adobe says, well, people can, you can move your stuff wherever you want it. Like, so if you want to have, like the layers panel, which is over here, you could pull that out and you could expand it and say, I want my layers panel over here. And I want my window links. If it's me, I always have my links nested with my layer panel. And those two are always together. And, and I always want window, Pathfinder, which I'm not lecturing on today. That's another day's lecture. But Pathfinder I use a lot, and it's always down here. but I'm closing that because I'm not talking about that today. And I'm not talking about links today either, so I'll close that. And for that matter, yeah, I'll go back and nest layers back here where it was to begin with. Okay, and I'm just gonna go to Workspace, Essentials, Classic, and I'll reset Essentials Classic. So this is where it is by default. And so the rectangular grid is right here. There's not a quick key for it, but you see how that tool works. There's a little animation. And if you click, there's on all these tools, if there's a little triangle in the lower right-hand corner, what that means is there's other tools nested underneath it. So here's the pen tool, and you see there's 3 tools underneath it. Here's the rectangular grid tool. If you don't see it, and probably you won't, you might see the line segment tool. And underneath that's the arc tool, the spiral tool, the rectangular grid tool. That's the one we want, the polar grid tool. And so I need the rectangular grid tool. And so if I just click and drag, it makes a grid. I don't want that. If I hold the Alt key on a PC or the Option key on a Mac and click, it will bring up the rectangular grid tool options panel. And I need a 10 wide by 10 high grid, and I need 9 horizontal dividers, and I need 10 vertical dividers. And don't change the skew. If you change the skew, they won't be even. Some will be wider dividers and some will be narrower, and same with the height. And so you do not want to fill the grid. You want it left not filled, and you do want to use the outside rectangle as a frame. And so that's the setting you want right there. 10 inch by 10 inch. If it says 10 px, that's pixel. It's going to be teeny tiny. If it says 10 pt, that's points. It's going to be teeny tiny. That means you didn't listen to me or watch this video, in which case you're not going to hear this. And your file's going to be wrong, and you're going to wonder why it didn't work. And I'll say, well, you didn't watch the video, and that's why. Or you didn't read the instructions, which this is also in the instructions. So anyway, this is what you want: 10 inch by 10 inch, 9 dividers, and click OK. And there you go. Oh, shoot. I wish it was centered in my artboard. Well, up top here, you have some alignment tools. And look right here. This tells you what it's going to align to. It can align to the selection, to the key object, to the artboard. And we want it to align to the artboard, and that's what it does by default. And this white area here is the artboard. And so the white area is the artboard. Think of that as your page. And this gray area to the outside is your pasteboard. And you can put stuff on that pasteboard. Think of that as the table that your paper is on, that you're going to write on, that you're going to do your artwork on. And so you want this to be centered on that. And up top here, you're going to align to the page here or the artboard. And you have this guy right here. This will align it to the left. That's not what we want. This one here, it will align it to the center horizontally. Well, that's what we want. Click. Look, it's perfectly center aligned. And then come over here. That'll align it to the right. No, that'll align it to the top. No, that's not what we want. Oh, but look at this one. Vertically aligned to center and horizontally aligned to center. There we go. That's perfectly aligned in the center. I have a 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have a 10 by 10 grid. It's no fill. Right here's my fill color, none. Right here's my stroke color, black. If I come over here to my stroke, I see that it's a 1-point black stroke with no fill and a black stroke. If I go to my layers here, it's just called layer 1, which I interpret as please deduct points. And so I'm going to name that layer something better than layer 1. I'm going to name it grid. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click this button right here. I just locked that layer. I don't want to move that layer anymore. I'm done with that layer. It's a perfect 10 inch by 10 inch grid. Then at the bottom of the layer panel, I'm going to click create new layer, but I want my grid layer to be on the top. So I'm going to pull that new layer down below the grid layer, and I'll call this new layer artwork. Okay. And now I'm ready to start creating artwork. And so let's go to the next step here. So that was number 2. I created a document, number 1. Number 2, I created a rectangular grid. Number 3, I created the number 2, I got the grid tool. Number 3, I created the grid. Number 4, I used the align tool. Number 5, I would name my file. And then number here, I would transfer my favorite phase 1 pencil from Illustrator to do my design. And so only one design is required from here. You had to do 2 designs for phase 1. For this next phase, you only have to do 1. If you want to do 2, you can get extra credit, but get 1 done for sure. And so what you're going to do is you're going to do at least 1 design. You can do 2 or more if you want. But first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a rectangle, a 1-inch square with the rectangle tool. You're going to use the letter M to do that. And so I'm going to hit the letter M, and that's going to give me the rectangle tool here. And so I'm going to click M for the rectangle tool, and you see it's 1 inch by 1 inch. And I'll click, and I've got a rectangle here. And I want it to be black with no fill. And there's a rectangle. Okay. And you can see that's going to be fit perfect there. 1 by 1 rectangle. And then I'm going to hold the Alt key if I'm on a PC or the Option key if I'm on a Mac. And I'm going to pull. And you see what happens when I pull while holding the Alt or Option key. You see I have a double arrow there. That means it's going to copy, and that works in every Adobe program. If I let go of the Alt or Option key, it will quit copying. I just moved it if I do that. And so I need to, but I don't want to grab these little circles on the inside or this is going to happen. Look, it just rounded the corners. So I'll zoom up closer so you can see. So these guys here, they're called live corner widgets. They'll turn it into a circle or a rounded corner. I don't want to grab those. And when it's smaller, it's harder to grab those, to not grab those. So I'm going to just grab, I hold Option or Alt, and I drag. If I want it to stay straight and not be sloppy, I'm going to also hold, while holding Alt or Option, I'm going to also hold Shift. That's going to snap it into alignment. And there, I duplicated that. And I'm going to do that 3 more times. Alt or Option, drag. There, I've got another copy. I'm going to hold Shift and grab both of these. And I'm going to hold Alt or Option and drag again. And there, I have 4 perfect triangles, right? And then I'm going to grab all 4 of those. And I have 4 perfect quarter circles, right? And you're going, no, Mr. Dennis, you don't know your geometric shapes at all. You flunked math, obviously. Well, let's read the instructions. Maybe I missed a step. Create, duplicate. Now you have 9 1-inch squares. Okay, I'm at that step. 1, 2, okay, 9 1-inch squares. I'm going to get the delete anchor point tool by hitting the minus key. Okay, so I hit the minus key, Mac or PC. It gives me the delete anchor point tool. Then I'm going to come and I'm going to click on one of these corners and it deletes an anchor point. Oh, now I have a perfect quarter circle. Perfect quarter, not a perfect quarter circle, perfect triangle. There we go. And now those guys can be a quarter circle. No, a triangle. Any one of those could go in any of these shapes. So see that. Okay, next thing I want perfect quarter circles. So remember those live corner widgets, and I cannot do that. Remember, the only way to get a circle, it's got to take up all 4 squares. But that's the live corner widget. If I want to just round 1 corner, I've got to hit the letter A. That gives me the direct selection tool. That will let me adjust one anchor point only. And so I can select just one anchor point. And so when I zoom up here, you can see I have 4 anchor points, 1, 2, 3, 4, but only this one's selected. It's solid. The rest of them are not selected. They're white. And I only have one live corner widget. And you see, as I pull that widget, it's only rounding that corner. And I want to pull that all the way through that corner here. Now I have a perfect quarter circle. I'll click this corner, perfect quarter circle. I'll click this outside corner, pull to the center, perfect quarter circle. I'll select this one, and don't stop short or it's not going to see. I've got an anchor point here and an anchor point here. That's not a perfect quarter circle. If I can see a live corner widget, it's not a perfect quarter circle. I've got to pull all the way through there. And so now I've got all of my perfect shapes here, and I need to save those. Now I'll just hit V. V is the move tool. And what I would do is I would look at my design and I would say, okay, I've got a quarter circle that looks like this quarter circle in 1, 2, 3 shapes over and 2 shapes down. And I would hold the Alt or Option key and I would go 1, 2, 3 shapes over and 4 shapes down or whatever I said. And I would move it there. And there should be something called a smart guide to help you. And I don't have it turned on. Command U is the quick key, and that's under View, Guides. No, it's under View, Smart Guides.
It's a little bit lower. It's a little bit lower.
I messed up.
Hide edges. Yeah, hide edges and perspective grid.
Oh, thank you.
That.
Okay. I just hit the quick key. I never go there to look for it. Smart Guide. See, they weren't on. Okay. So now, I don't know why I have a. Okay. So now when I go, see this thing here that says intersect, these pink lines, I don't know if you can see them. That's telling me that it's exactly in the spot. Also, I'm going to pull the properties panel out so you can see. So it's telling me that it's perfectly aligned there from the center here. And so it's telling me that my shape is 1 inch by 1 inch. And all of our shapes should be 1 inch by 1 inch. And it's telling me from the center point, it's 3 and 5. So here's the center square, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 in. So that's what that's doing. So the properties panel is what's going to tell you where it goes. Then let's say my other shape has let's say it's a tree or something. And I could say, well, okay, then I've got the same shape. And at this point, and it's doing this sort of thing, and then it's doing this, and I don't know, maybe I have at this point there's this sort of thing going on. I don't know. I'm just moving shapes right now, but I'm just dragging these shapes over here. I want to keep these shapes because those shapes are perfect shapes. I know that. And maybe I've got a snail here, and this is its antenna, and this is a shell. I don't know. I'm not really designing anything. I'm just showing you I can move these shapes. I'm looking at my design, and I can pull these things over. And then I can also change them. In the swatches panel here, you see I have grayscale right here, and I can select grayscale colors as well. So I'm going to do this whole design in grayscale. Once it's all done in grayscale, I'll copy it and color it. So I'm going to do the whole design in grayscale. And here's the rules. Same rules. They have to be the same shapes. But this is the key rule, craftsmanship. All I'm asking for is mere perfection. That's all I need, nothing more. And so no sweat, right? And you're going, well, wait, Mr. Ness, did you not remember this is a no prerequisite class and that we're just beginners? I did remember that because I've been teaching this class for 14 years. And it's not that hard. Because I've given you 2 tools here. Smart Guide, there. It just That's mere perfection right there. It just told the smart guide told you that's right in place. That's hint number one. Hint number two, look at the numbers here. If that nudges off just a little bit, look, that's 7.8745. Well, that's pretty close to 8. What if I just hit 8 there and hit return? Boom, it snaps right into place. So use the properties panel, use the smart guides, and it's not that hard to get your mere perfection. Properties panel, it'll be your best friend on this assignment. Okay, so that's phase 2. Get it done in black and white. And then you're gonna get it totally done. You're gonna have a background, you're gonna have an object. It's all gonna be grayscale. It's gonna be like this. Your artboard will be grayscale. Then you're gonna, when you get it all done in grayscale, you're gonna come back to your layers and you're gonna unlock that grid layer, make sure nothing's locked. And let's just pretend I've got my whole thing is done now. And I probably should have had one already done just for the sake of, and maybe I don't have a hard drive plugged in right now, so I can't do this. But I was just going to search for one, but I don't have my hard drive plugged in. So anyway, let's say that's all done. I'm going to select everything here, and I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key. I'm going to drag. Oh, that won't do it. I'm going to follow the instructions here. I'm going to follow these instructions. I'm going to make sure I have mere perfection. I'm going to make sure everything's aligned right here. That's step 2. And then I'm going to make sure all objects are unlocked. And I'm going to select the artboard tool. Artboard tool is this guy right here. Shift+O. And then I'm going to hold Option or Alt, and I'm going to drag, and I'll make sure there's about an inch or so between them. And look, it duplicates that layer. And then I'll let that layer be my black and white layer, and I'll select all that and lock it. And I'll just go up to Edit, or I'll go up to Object, Lock Selection. So now that layer's locked, and I'll go back up to my grid layer and lock it as well. Then I can come up to this layer and say, okay, this shape here, I can start coloring things, whatever color things are supposed to be. And I can color things, or I can, and we're going to do this whole thing in color. So that's phase 2 is black and white grayscale, and phase 3 is full color. And then that's all we're doing. We're going, so we should be by Sunday night, we should be fully done grayscale and fully done color. We're not doing any gradients this week. We're not doing any other things other than just flat color, solid colors, no transparency, no patterns, no shading, nothing like that. Just flat color, flat grayscale.